Hello and welcome to round 6. Here we're against Blue Stalker, who I know is on teachings. So I think I might just keep this hand. Let's see. We're going to keep. We lead off with the tap land. We're going to lead off with a Preordain, Sea Ponder, and Prismatic Strands. I will bin the Prismatic Strands and take the Ponder. Really just looking for a white land here. I end up drawing a Faithful, which is not exactly what I want, but it'll do. We're going to draw the Mire so that we have 3 lands. Just try to make our land drops against a control deck. They accumulate your knowledge, cycle, and then leave up counterspell. I'm just going to go ahead and play Sanctuary tapped and pass. On their turn, they end up, let's see, passing. And I'm going to draw. I don't really have any plays, so I'm going to go and play the Seagate Oracle. That eats a Devious Cover-Up. They've tried to just get one in the yard so they can start doing Devious Cover-Up loops. I'll play another Seagate Oracle, and this time it doesn't get countered, so I'll just go ahead and draw the Mulldrifter and make my land drop. They Edict me, and draw some more spells. I drew a land drop, so I don't have to run their Mulldrifter out, necessarily, and I'm just going to pass. Against Edicts, these Faithfuls are going to be good. So they pass again, play a land drop. Now I have my Mystic Sanctuary online. I'll just go ahead and play out the Faithful, and then pass. As long as I make my land drops, I'm okay with passing my turn. They are casting a Teaching, so I will just try to counter it with Prohibit. And that eats a counter. So they're going to grab another Teachings. No, they grab an Accumulated Knowledge. So here, getting another land, I'll run out my Faithful, and then I'm hoping to draw something like a Deep Analysis that can burn through their cards in hand. Right now they're ahead on Library on cards drawn. They don't make a land drop this turn, and I do, so I'm going to play the land and get back a cantrip and pass. They go for the Doomblade. I'll just go ahead and bounce them both back. Gives me something to do, and it stops any Edict shenanigans. Their Teachings gets a Dispel. I'll cast Faithful and then cast Preordain. Preordain sees Deep Analysis and Mulldrifter, so I'll keep both on top. And cast a Deep Analysis, and then Flashback. Getting a Ponder, and I see a couple of spells I do want, so I'm not going to shuffle. So that drew me pretty well, and I'm keeping on pace with all the card draw. Edict is totally reasonable at this point. I drew into a counterspell here, so I can do something like maybe play out my Sunscape Familiar and then start jamming. They decided to go for the counterspell. So now I have Mulldrifter with Prohibit backup as long as they don't have Exclude. They have counterspell, and I think I do go for the Prohibit, but they're going to have a Dispel. So really I'm burning them out of spells as much as I can. Now I can play another Familiar. We'll just go ahead and play the Faithful. And then I'll lead with the Sages of Rodenison and see if they want to counter that. They decide to Devious Cover-Up it, because this makes sense on their part because this exiles my Sage of Rodenison, so that win con is off the table now. They get some counter spells back, and their other cover-up. I'm going to test the waters with the Sunscape Familiar here, and they don't have a response, so now I can Mulldrifter and evoke with Snap. And then just cast my Deep Analysis. So that was a pretty good turn for me. I know they don't probably have another counterspell in their hand. They could have a higher cost counterspell though. Their teachings. Teachings get some accumulated knowledge, which they cast. They're just still trying to draw a lot of cards. I draw into another Deep Analysis. I'll cast a Deep Analysis, and then I see a Chancery. So I'm definitely going to play that out. Pick up my Mystic Sanctuary, evoke the Muldrifter, and snap him. They go for the Dispel, which, since we draw a second familiar here, is pretty much fine. That dies. You can play Familiar, and then cast a Deep Analysis, which draws the Ghostly Flicker. So at this point, I can draw my deck, and then get all my counters in hand, the rest of my counters. I can actually gain infinite mana here with once I grab a second flicker, so the opponent ends up conceding. They know that I could, even though it's slow, build up infinite mana and infinitely Deep Analysis them to mill them out. Okay, for the sideboarding here, I'm taking out 3 Prismatic Strands. Oops. And I'm bringing out my Sage's Road Denizen and 1 Snap. And I'm bringing in all my Dispels and my Negates. And I think that's it. So we're just basically trying to out-counter them and keep going. I also brought in a Nature's Chant to try to take out their life gain source. I'm going to keep this hand because I've got a lot of lands to keep making land drops, and I have some ways to get white mana and cantrips up on the way. So we'll get our white source. Just go ahead and play God Pharaoh's Faithful and Evolving Wilds. They grab a land. Don't do anything. I'll grab my island. I'm expecting them to have a counter here, so probably don't want to play into it. Yeah, we're not going to play directly into it. And we swing with an 0-4 just to send a message for fun. Here I'll get my island. And then I can just play out my Deep Analysis. In this matchup, you want to make sure that you don't play Deep Analysis into a Devious Cover-Up. That would be very bad for us. They'll counterspell it, but that's fine. They still have to counter it twice for us to get no value. The Bojuka Bog is a bad problem here because now they just ate it, so that wasn't great for us. But we happen to grab another Deep Analysis. Here I think I'm probably going to Seagate Oracle and then hold up Prohibit. Maybe they'll have a counterspell that I can counter in response. But they end up having Exclude, which I cannot counter. So on to their turn. We still want to be making as many land drops as possible. So we're in a bad spot where they could have Devious Cover-Up to counter the Deep Analysis, so I lead off with a Preordain. Seeing another Preordain, which I'll just use immediately. I see 2 islands, so just keep both on top. Play it. It's a risky position here for me to play Deep Analysis, but let's see what I do. Yeah, I decide not to. Try to make them make the first move. As long as I keep making land drops, it's okay. They AK. Aqueduct picks up a Jukabog. I think here I do take the risk and just go for it. And they don't have cover up, so that's great. Now I can flash it back immediately. And then I will play Mystic Sanctuary, getting Preordain. And then, let's see. Probably want to just pass, and I did just pass. I don't want to ponder into a Preordain in case I wanted to shuffle and I didn't just want the Preordain. I have plenty of lands here, so now I'm just kind of looking for extra value action. The Mortuary Mire is good. Seagate Oracle is good, so let's see what I do. I'll probably keep the Seagate Oracle Mortuary Mire. No, we'll just go for the Faithful. Preordain. Seagate Oracle. And then the Seagate Oracle gets to choose between Mire and the other one. Here, I made a mistake not playing out my land, but I was trying to get that Mortuary Mire, so maybe, maybe not. But I could have prohibited their counterspell. I left myself open to that for sure. And they bog. So now my Mortuary Mire doesn't do anything. I should have probably just played the island, hoping to catch a counter. Now I just have to wait and hope I draw something good. They're not doing anything, but neither am I. So I'll play out the Mire for no value. They play an AK, which will draw them 2. I decide to just counterspell it, keep them off of it as much as I can. Draw an Echoing Truth, which doesn't help. So on to their turn. Let's see. They still do nothing. Okay, they edict me. I didn't draw into a Mulldrifter. I obviously cannot play it into all this open mana, so I'm just gonna have to wait and build up resources in my hand. They do draw a land, and I end up drawing a negate. So it feels safe to try to at least evoke it and then respond with a negate. I evoke the Mulldrifter and draw into 2 counterspells, so I can just go ahead and flicker the Drifter to get back Flicker and then be in a good spot with my Drifter on board. I'll go for Snap. So what I'm thinking here is it looks like Snap will draw out a counterspell or a removal spell, and then I can negate Dispel, or I can just Dispel and then flicker it to keep it on the board. I decided to go for the Echoing Truth to leave my 2 counterspells open. My opponent's down to 3 cards in hand. Alright, so here I'm gonna just play out the Ash Barrens, I think. Or no. We definitely want to get the Sunscape down. And now I can evoke the Mulldrifter and flicker it. They have an Edict, which I'll dispel. Probably should just negated that. Dispel the dispel, negate the dispel. And they have a counterspell. So they're down to 1 card in hand. And I lose my Familiar. So let's see what I do here. Yeah, just let it die, and then I'll redraw it. Redraw with the Flicker. Hopefully they don't have anything. I decide to flicker the Mortuary Mire and Mulldrifter to put the Sunscape on top. Okay, looks like the replay is dying here, but essentially in this matchup, you need to keep making your land drops and then try to outvalue all of their card draw and eventually bust through with a bunch of spells in 1 turn. As long as you can make your land drops more than them, then you can play more cards than they can. See you next round.